Hey, it's Martha here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. To those of you who are returning, thank you very much. And those of you who have just stumbled on this video, you are welcome. And I hope you like it and you stay, and we're going to be a family. So today we are going to discuss on self-worthy and creating the best version of you. So I'm going to start with self-worthy. The definition of self-worthy is the internal sense of being good enough, worthy of love, and belonging from others. This is often mistaken with self-esteem. Self-esteem relies on external factors such as success, achievement. Examples of self-worth. The person who is self-worthy takes responsibilities of their mistakes but does not degrade themselves for making the mistakes. They'll say, I've done a bad thing, not saying I'm bad. And they say sorry when they need to. And they'll work towards making it right. Disclaimer. When I talk about self-worth or creating the best version of yourself, I'm not trying to say I've arrived or I am better or I know better. No, we are all learning. We are all in the same class and we are all learning this business of life. We are all learning, and as we learn, some people get the revelation a lot earlier than others, but the whole point is we're all learning. So when I talk about it, I'm not trying to say I know better. Please don't get me wrong. I am learning just like everyone else. So self-worth to me is the realization of belonging, that you belong where you are meant to be in that space, and you bring value to the place where you are. It's feeling that you're not an afterthought. You're not there because someone could not take the space. Someone did not come and then you are there, but you are there because you belong there and you bring value to the space. As human beings, we seek validation externally. Unfortunately, by seeking validation externally, we are trying to cover up our scars just so that people can see what we want people to see, covering and hiding the scars that make us. What we forget is the scars add to the value of what we are, of who we are. They do not subtract, they add to what we are. So it means feeling you belong there with all your scars and your past, and you bring value including your past and your scars. It's knowing that the very thing that you try to hide as your scars, that's the very thing that adds value to who you are. So how do we create the best version of ourselves? There are a few things that we need to clean up ourselves or develop to make or create the best version of ourselves. 1, do a makeover. This includes your wardrobe, your appearance, your makeup, and everything. Making sure your appearance says what you feel from inside. Because I remember I've done a topic on how to look good on a budget. So it's not about spending money. It's about with what you have, using what you have, making the best version of yourself, your looks. Because I've always said, looks, they are non-verbal communication. It says who you are without saying a word. So making sure your looks are creating the best version of yourself. It's just the tip of the iceberg, but it does contribute towards you creating the best version of yourself. Because you've heard first impressions will last forever. which means What a person sees the first time they see you tells them who you are and a lot about you and how you hold yourself important. Second thing, the greatest enemy lies between our ears, our mindset, the things that we think. We can build, we can make or break ourselves by the things that we say. Be mindful of the things that you watch, the things that you look at. Social media is one of the worst things. It's a good thing, don't get me wrong. It's one of the best things that man has invented. But then at the same time, lots of things are happening because of social media. Kids have committed suicide because of bullying that happens on social media, things that happen on social media. People's self-esteem have been destroyed because of social media. So be mindful the things you look at on social media, the things you involve yourself with social media. There are things that you look at and they'll make you feel less important. They'll make you feel less pretty. They'll make you look ugly. What we forget is people play with their pictures before they put them on social media. You look at them and you think, my goodness, I don't belong, I don't fit, I don't look like those people. But those people have done lots of things. So be mindful and watch social media. Take everything with a pinch of salt. Not everything that you see on social media is true. People are living fake lives on social media, whereas in reality it's a different story. And you're gonna go break the bank, you're gonna go do the things that you're not supposed to do. Just because of what you're seeing on social media. It's not true. And the results of these things that have happened with people just thinking, I mean, I've heard somebody say, you know what, I've come off social media because of the things that are happening. I don't blame them. The reality is, social media is not for the faint-hearted, because sometimes you go on social media, the things that are going to come across there, you come out even depressed more than the way you went there, and you're thinking, why did I even watch this? You look at things, there are things that you watch and you think, why did I even watch this? Because you feel depressed. The same way sometimes we feel when you watch the news. You go watch the news and you're feeling more depressed than you were before. So be very careful. Mindset, the things that we are putting, the things that we are letting, because they say your eyes are the windows to your heart, because the things that you see is going to contribute towards how you feel about life. As I was talking about social media, it doesn't mean everything about social media is bad. There are people that we follow on social media. Be careful who you follow, because you might follow people that are going to lead you into direction that you're going to think, how did I get here? So be very careful. There are some social media groups and things that you belong, that, to be honest, you're not supposed to belong to those things, because the discussions, some of the things that are said on those things are things that your eyes should not be looking at, your ears should not be listening to. So be very careful. However, whilst we're talking about who to follow, there are people that really inspire you, the people that you look up to and you think, you know what, I would like to be someone like her. I would like to be like that person. Nothing wrong with that. Just be mindful what you do, who you're following, and how you're doing this social media business. Which leads into my follow-up topic, that's mental health. Mental health, your mental health. Look after yourself. Take care of yourself. You are the number one person. Ever heard you cannot pour from an empty cup? If you are empty yourself, you're not going to be able to love any person around you. So make sure your cup is full so that you'll be able to pour into other people's cups. This means check in with yourself. Have your moments. Have your quality time where it's just you and yourself. You're just spending time with yourself, taking care of you, whether it's just self-care, whether it's just self-love, just having moments that is just you and yourself. You're checking in yourself and you're making sure you're taking care of yourself. You set boundaries on who can come in to stay and who can come to visit and you don't let them back in, which means picking on the relationships. I talked about this a while ago in one of my videos. Set boundaries. People will treat you the way you let them treat you. You set the boundaries, and most of the times we normally say low self-esteem is like a vicious circle. The less you feel of yourself, the more people will feel less of you, and they will treat you the way you let them treat you. You are as important as you feel. You are as important as you make people believe of you. Talking about mental health, it's okay not to be okay. There are times, there isn't a person who can say they're always happy 24/7. They haven't got times where they feel down, they feel like, oh, things are not working out and all that. But it is about picking yourself when you fall, picking yourself up when you fall, finding ways to deal with stress, because life itself can be stressful. It brings things that will just try to bring you down, but it is about finding the best way of coping with stress. Good stress coping mechanism. There are things that you know when you're stressed. You go to your place where you, like myself, I have my closet where I will go and have my moment with God, where it helps when I pray, and it releases and it relieves stress. And it is okay to put yourself first. You are number one. You know, the same way that they say when you're on a plane, don't try to give the oxygen mask to the person next to you, because you will die whilst you're trying to save somebody. The two of you are going to die. If you put the oxygen mask on yourself, you'll be in a better position to look after or help the other person. So yeah, you are number one. I know people say, oh yeah, this is about selfishness and all that. Unfortunately, the reality is, even God himself says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, because he was comparing that love, because he knows when you love yourself, it's a lot easier to love the other person next to you. If you don't love yourself, how can you love the other person? So you should never betray yourself for an external relationship. The relationship you have with God comes number one. As for me, the relationship I have with God comes number one. And every relationship that comes there comes second, because I'm number one before God. The reason you should never betray yourself for an external relationship is the longest relationship you're going to have in your life is with you. This will last forever, the relationship between you and you, which means you have to put yourself first. Everything else follows, which leads to the following one. Focus on yourself. Why should you focus on yourself? You shouldn't worry too much about what people think about you. Sometimes we make ourselves believe we're that important. Unfortunately, we're not. There's so much things going on in people's lives. There's so much. You have a fall today and people will laugh, but by the end of the day, when they're going to bed, the people they're thinking about is themselves. So don't worry too much about what people think or the mistakes you've made in life. They don't define you, and people don't care that much. We shouldn't lie to ourselves thinking, yeah, the mistakes that I've made, everybody's focusing on them. They're focusing on their mistakes. They're focusing on their own selves. They've got their own things that they have to worry about. So by the end of the day, you're not the last person they're thinking before they go to sleep. Trust yourself. Get to know who you are. Spend time with yourself enough that you get to know yourself very well. If you don't know yourself, people will tell you who you are. They will tell you who you are, because They'll start saying things they think about you, and you're going to end up believing them, because you're going to think, yeah, if they say I'm like this, if they say I'm this, then it means I am. No, define yourself. Freedom is being you without anyone's permission. So you don't need to be somebody else, or you don't need to be you with somebody's permission. Be you with your permission, unapologetically. So being you means pushing yourself. Do things that scare you. There are things that you would like to do and they scare you. Those are the things you should be doing. Being in a comfort zone, nothing wrong with that, but it is the opposite of growth. You do not grow in a comfort zone. So push yourself to doing things that scare you. There are things you've been telling yourself you would like to do. You would like that business you've been saying you're going to start. Start it, even when you feel like you haven't got the resources just yet. Everything else, you will watch everything fall into place. When you think the right time is going to come, then I'll be able to start this. The right time is going to come, then I'm going to do this. That time is never going to come. Talking from experience, I'm doing something that I've always wanted, but I've never felt ready. I've never felt ready. But I just said to myself, you know what? I'm going to go for it and I'm going to start. Yes, I'll be making mistakes whilst I'm learning through the process. As I go along, I'm learning. There are things that I know. Next year, I won't be doing what I'm doing. I'll be doing it better. But I keep learning. I keep going. At least take the first step rather than just waiting that time. The right time is going to come, because that time doesn't come. It will never arrive. When you feel like doing something, go for it, do it. There are lots of business people, businessmen, women that started with one thing and they ended up with another thing, and they stumbled on $1 billion business or deal. But when they first started, they thought they didn't have the resources, but they just started. So when you feel like starting that thing, if you're going to wait, oh, I'll have the right resources, oh, I'm going to have enough this, when I have this, then I'll be able to start. You're not going to start, because that right time that you are expecting is not going to come. Visualize your success. Have a picture of how the success for you is going to look like, because all the changes in your external life start from within. The changes should start from inside. The best version of you that you think of, the picture of successful you that you think of, start to live into that person. Create a situation, the environment that is going to help create the best version of you, which means you are going to look like the person you want to be. You're going to dress like the person you're working towards. You're going to talk like the person you're working towards. You are going to do everything as if you're already there. You know how they say, dress the part, look the part, walk the part, do the things towards the person you are working towards. Stop chasing perfection. I know we all want to be perfect. We all want to be. Unfortunately, there's no perfect person. There's no perfect marriage. There's no perfect job. Oh, that's what I think. There's no perfect person. So if there's no perfect person, there cannot be a perfect marriage. It's two imperfect people working towards a perfect relationship. There's nothing like a perfect something, unfortunately. So for that reason, realize every person is weird. They've got their own things that are weird, that when you spend more time with them, you'll realize that those things may be weird for you, but they're okay for them. So we are all created different. So for that reason, we all have got our own problems. I remember somebody saying, if there was a room and people were asked to go and offload their problems, You go in that room and then you're going to see other people's problems. You're going to come back with your usual with your usual problems. Why? Because you will realize someone is got it way worse off than you. Because the very thing that you think, oh my goodness, my life is difficult and all that, you're thinking, I've got a broken car, I'm struggling with my car. Another person is thinking, this bike, if only I had a car. And then another person is thinking, my goodness, I'm walking long distance, if only I had a bike. And then the other person is thinking, my goodness, I'm having to be on a wheelchair, if only I could walk. And then another person is thinking, if only I could get out of this bed, I'm bed bound, years and years in bed, if only I could just crawl, if only I could be on a wheelchair, if only I could do this. So you get to realize that, you know, what you think are problems in your life, they are really way normal, way better than how other people have got it. So we all have got different backgrounds, different beliefs, different values. For that reason, stop trying to make people understand you. You don't owe people explanation. I remember discussing with my best friend the other time. You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't owe people explanation. They'll never understand you. You don't have to understand them. But we all are working towards our well-being. We are all working towards creating the best version of ourselves. So you don't have to understand that person. And you know what? They don't have to understand you either. So like I said about creating the environment that helps with your growth, with you creating the best version of yourself. If you surround yourself with people who are filled with negativity, all they say is negative things, you're going to be filled with it's going to fill your mind with negativity. But have people around you that celebrate your success. I will add on top of all this, to create the best version of yourself is being positive. I remember talking about this as well last time. Being positive. One of the most important things that I heard somebody say is, to the grateful heart, everything else is double portion. Think about that. You know, the very thing that you think is nothing, having running water in the house, for somebody, they would think, what an amazing thing that is, because of the water they're having to drink. Having food on your table when somebody's having to go and fetch from bins. I grew up in Africa, obviously. People get food from the places food should not come from. And when you have food and you think, I know I've got food, but to a grateful heart, everything else is double portion, triple portion, which means if you remind yourself to be grateful in life, believe you me, you will see your environment as the best environment of yourself, which means you will work towards making the best version of yourself, but remembering that what you have around you is something that somebody is staying up all night for. They are thinking, if only I had this, if only I had this. And you have that thing, and instead of being grateful, thanking God that you have got the privilege to have that thing, and you think somebody's got it better. Obviously, probably somebody's got it better than you, but you also have got it, you've got it better than somebody else. So reminding yourself that you really need to be grateful. I cannot emphasize enough about being grateful. I will always emphasize on this, because when you are grateful, you will be blessed even more. Start your day by being grateful that you've had a good sleep. You've had a comfortable bed to sleep in. You have blankets to cover yourself. You've got food on your table. You've got air in your lungs. You're not having to walk around. There's another person, they're having to walk around with a tank of oxygen just to breathe, just to be able to breathe. and you can run, you can do all sorts of things. You can put one foot in front of the other. You've got clothes on your back, you've got shoes on your feet, and you look back, you are watching me on a screen. You've got a screen in your hands watching me. Be grateful in life. Be grateful. You'll be surprised at how much you'll be blessed in life. So yeah, let us create the best version of ourselves. You know how people say forgiving others is not for them, it's for you. The reality is, it is for you. Truly, it is for you. It takes so much time to spend thinking, if only they had done this, if only they, oh, why did they do this to me? It takes so much time to be angry with them. It takes so much time, so much of your time, wishing them bad, or wishing something could happen to them. You waste more time than spending that time wishing on the best of the things that could happen to yourself. So self-worth. Know your worth and add VAT. That's what they say. Know your worth and add VAT. But the reality about life is, when you know it, what are you doing about it? When you know your worth, what are you doing about it? Create the best version of yourself and enjoy life. This is not a rehearsal that we are living on earth. This is it. We're living it. So live your life to the fullest. Come on, guys. Life is short. When you die today, what are they going to think of you? I remember having a conversation with my cousin saying, oh yeah, so-and-so died, but yeah, they left so many things, or they lived this, such a life. The reality is, we are all gonna die. As depressing as that may sound, we are all gonna die at some point. But when we die, on our deathbed, are we gonna be regretting the things we could have done? Are we gonna think, oh, if only I had done this? All those things, instead of regretting on your deathbed, how about, thank God, it's my time to go. I'll meet you on the other side, guys, when you come. But I thank God that I lived my life to the full. This is what I'm aiming for. Live my life to the full. So somebody will be looking at me and thinking, what is she doing? Who does she think she is? I'm living my life. And I would advise you try and live yours unapologetically. Thank you for watching. We have come to the end of the topic, and all I can say is thank you for staying all this time. Thank you for those who have subscribed, and those who haven't yet, welcome to our family. Join us, please. We have fun here, and we are yet to have fun. This is just the beginning. We are going to have fun. Thank you very much for watching once again. Take care. See you in the next video, and God bless.